Okay, so where we're at. So last week we started talking about this prototype food delivery app that you're going to create. Now, with this, it is a prototype. So with that, you're going to be asked to create just a singular user journey. So what we've got, and I've just popped this up here, the structure of how we're going to go, say, from someone, let's just assume that the person has signed up to this food delivery app, bank details, the address is all there. So they've just gone into order, make an order. And so with that, we're going to start with the landing page. So that will be the logo. Now that can be animated. We'll talk about those sorts of things. And then from that, we then just go through this logical progression. So the landing page can essentially have a sign in or login button. Just the sign in just will go through. You could have a page which just has a dummy email address there, like they're all in there, or it can just go straight through to the menu. Okay, and then from there, that menu will be creating a page that will have clusters of food. And so in that, we will have things like favorites or on special, starters, hamburgers, pizzas, clustering so that rather than having an endless stream of foods, you're actually grouping them together. And we'll just choose one of those, so something in a very logical place, and that will go through to a singular order. So now that food selection will have the ability to be customized. It might be sizes, small, medium, large, or entree or double. It'll have the idea that we could order multiples. So rather than, we don't want to have to have the user going back to the beginning to order a new one. So we can basically have quantities, sizes, extras. So, if it's a pizza, do you want anchovies with that? Do you want olives? Yes. So we could have like little buttons, what are called radio buttons, which are just little hollow circles that we click and they become a solid circle. So that's a radio button. So we can customize that order. And that gets added to a shopping cart. Now, the shopping cart can just have some other items in there just to say that a few things have been ordered. The idea also is that the shopping cart could be edited as well. Oh, I'll remove that one, or I want extra quantity of that one or something. And that then goes through the checkout page. Okay, so we've got this user journey that you'll be looking to create. And so coming to the brief, you'll find that, so we'll be using Figma to create this. And when we do actually use Figma, you'll find that when we actually come to a frame, we do have some default sizes. Okay, now these are not the actual sizes of an iPhone 16. It's a prototype size. But the important thing is that these are the sizes that you'll use when you go to create the graphic elements in Illustrator. So if you've used your branding for your bar, restaurant, cafe from last semester, just save it as a new document. And so with that, it will need to be made change to RGB. So save it as a new document. Let's just close that. So we need to change it, but just might be worth just setting up a new document. Just choose web, so we're in pixels. And then from here, if I'm 393 by 852. Okay, so that will just help you with creating those pages. And so, because there's going to be a lot of copying and pasting here. Now, if you are using the branding, you'll find that you might need to create outlines. The important thing to understand in the difference between Figma and perhaps other programs like XD, if you use that, is that Figma only uses Google Fonts. Okay, so if you have created text elements in Illustrator, just quite simply outline them. Okay, you can actually put, download Google Fonts into, where are we? I have been doing it. You can download Google Fonts and work directly in Illustrator that way. Okay, and so it's just, you'll need to think about pairing your typefaces. Okay, so things that you'll use for headings, for the descriptions and the like. So just get some type choices there, download them. So we'll come into here. And so what I've been doing here is, here's some Google Fonts that I've downloaded for this. Okay. Now, what we're also going to do in this brief was we're going to use a bit of AI. Okay, and so what I've been doing is using things like ChatGPT to just write give me an idea about a mission statement, some wording. So I've got this one that I've been playing around with, which is French comfort foods. Okay, and so I've just asked ChatGPT, give me, and I've gone in and customized it a bit more. It's good to use things like that, but don't just copy and paste it directly. Use it as to develop ideas and concepts. Okay, and take that a little further. What I also did was what type of food would be on the menu, and so it's then come through, and it's given me suggestions about what might just be on the menu. So just to give me again, it's a prototype. Okay, so obviously your restaurant bar will have a pretty fixed selection, but just to help you pad out the menu, because you're not only going to build one of these, you're not going to build all of it, but just to actually develop those. Just coming back here, your personas. Okay, you can also get a bit of help there. There'll be a difference if it's a juice bar, probably going to be people having juices in the morning as opposed to pizzas, which you'd like to think are mainly of later in the evening sort of thing. Hopefully it's not a breakfast pizza. Could be. You use usual things like mood boards and the like. Okay, and so now it says here to develop a sitemap. You don't need to do that. Okay, quite simply, that's the overall app. Just look at the user journey, how the pages connect. And so just to show you some examples, So the student's gone in and created a very concise site map, but you don't need to go into everything. But our personas, think about who they are. Now, in a live brief, there would be a lot of user research done, surveys, trying to find insights that have not previously been discovered, trying to find this new approach. And so in design, it's not just running with the old recycled information, it's trying to find, oh, how can we connect in a much more effective way? And so user surveys and things like that are quite important, and sort of looking at, what types of brand associations they have, what are their frustrations, their motivations, etc. Look at our style guide. So put hex codes with these, just the various elements that go in to make up the app, so that you might develop some icons that you can use. All these sorts of things can go in the style guide. Okay, all the bits and bobs you've created. So the wireframe, so these can be, you can actually buy gridded journals, which are actually the size of a mobile phone, for people getting specifically into UX, and then going through like that. And so if we just have a look at a couple of these, so here is this one. Now, this one goes a little further. We'll be able to create landing page animations. Okay, again, we just have some dummy email addresses. It's going to be a singular store. You don't need to have a range of stores. It's a lot of running around here. Okay, so when we get to our menu, we've got a selection. Let's get to it. Come on, order a donut. Okay, then we get the idea that we can customize with that. Okay. We'll leave that one. Come into here. Again, this will go a little bit further as well. Logo. So we've got our menu. So this will have a horizontal scroll. So you can cluster favorites, specials. Select one of these. Okay, we've got our customizing. These are our radio buttons, quantity, add to shopping cart. We can then from there go to the checkout. So it's quite simple in that way. Some people like to go a little further with things and create your deliveries on its way. Okay, so work out what it's going to be, work out what the journey is, and then, as I said, you can use things like ChatGPT to actually start to give you some things. So here's the menu, and it's actually thrown in some prices. Okay, and so again, I've added a few more. Some of these I haven't used, but just to give us a quick thing, we can just sort of start to work. We've got our object, our order, then we have description and our price, blah, blah, blah. Then what we can do is we can come into AI, something like Midjourney or Firefly and actually generate the images. Now, so what we've got here is a prompts. Okay, and so what I've got a few different ones here. So these I've just gone to recipe websites and done some screenshots. Okay, so I've got these and just start to break things up. But what I've also done is I've used Firefly to generate this one. So one of these are these meal packs. So that was quite an interesting one that was suggested. You know, the winter in Lyon. And so actually order the whole thing for a price. 2 people. Okay, so that's a good idea. So we can start to play around with those. So what you need to do is just to start to gather all of the aspects, the content, so you can start to formalize it, but you need the assets to run with. Okay, and so as I said, you can just come into Google and look at particular things, or you can have a bit of a play. By all reports, people talk about Midjourney as being a really high-end one. That does cost. In the Adobe Firefly will come with your Adobe subscription, so that's free. But if you wanted to try something like Midjourney, you can actually sign up for a month, and I think it's like $10 US a month, and then sign out and just end the subscription if you want to have a bit of a play with it, just in terms of developing. Because you want to have a bit of experience with these sorts of things to pop on your CV, that you have had experience with using AI and generate, because things like the prompts are a particular skill set now, what you actually ask in this way. So it's not about just using AI, but it's to give you ideas, to prompt, to prototype, this sort of thing. Okay, so what you need to plan, so coming all the way back, think about what it's going to be, think about the mission statement, just get an idea of what the menu is going to be, start collecting the images this way or that, your mood boards and the approaches, okay? And what we'll look to be doing next week is we'll start developing these wireframes and start to plan it a bit more, okay, and how these things will come together. All right. So now when we get to building it, it's going to be easier to actually build these elements directly in Figma rather than copying and pasting over from Illustrator, because you'll find out once we actually get into Figma, we can just duplicate and then populate different images into them very easily. Okay, so we've got all of our files. So this is a whole area unto itself. You'll find that there are some phone assets that you can use, but you can also create them yourself. Okay, and so we'll be getting into this certainly in the next week or so. But to get to this point, just formalize all the information that you need to get moving. Okay, and so if you're still not working, happy with your logo, don't fixate on it. You can come back to it and adapt it, even if it's just a placeholder thing for the moment. But begin the task by working out the content, what it's actually going to be made up of. So what is actually going to be the menu, generate the images, use the text and the like. Okay, and start to think about the user flow. style guide, those sorts of things. Gather your typefaces, okay? Work out what you're using there. Because remember, you're going to be pairing headings and body copies. It's a bit of publication design, even though it's existing only on the screen. Okay, so gather all of that and just start to have a folder with all of the aspects that are going to come into this. Okay, and so from here, we can then start to use and build. Okay, so the actual doing it in Figma is the quick part. Okay, and then from that we'll start to look at animations and having the scrolling and all those sorts of things. So they'll be coming up in the next few weeks. Okay, so hopefully you're able to log on to a computer and get moving. But as I said, just get to the starting line and start gathering all of the assets and things that you need and building from there. So you'll find some examples up on the Moodle also. There's things like this. So the presentation is something. On this Behance one, with the link that you'll find, there'll be a whole stack. It looks like people have been doing the same course, same subject, and so there's a template that they've used. But this will just give you an approach, how you're actually going to build all this together. Okay, so get moving, get started, start gathering these things. And so just remember, we've only got about 6 weeks at the most left, and your portfolio website will be one of those as well. Okay.